Happy 2020, everybody! But we didn't get a talk about Christmas episode, so I'm just gonna bring this up now because while I was on vacation, I had never really watched the Frosty the Snowman special. And so I watched it again for the first time in years. I remember there being a Robot Chicken skit where it's Frosty says, "Happy birthday!" But as I watched the special and it just happens, I just remember being like, wait, why the fuck does he say happy birthday?
Why does he say it?
My only theory is that, I guess every time he starts existing, it's his birthday,
So he's saying happy birthday to me?
I guess, to himself.
The fuck is that? I understand he's a snowman. He's a man, if you want to call him a man, made of snow who's been alive for mere moments. I don't expect him to understand every nuanced thing about humanity and speech. But Frosty, words mean things.
Yeah.
And I think that's rule number one going into this admittedly short lifespan you have, and you know that full well.
The fucking Meeseeks, for God's sakes.
You're basically a cicada. You've been underground for 17 years, and now you've got this one crack at it, so make the most of it. That's annoyed me since the first time I heard it. And it's so funny that it's kind of a running joke, it's kind of an in-joke with me, that just the cadence with which you said, "Happy birthday!" I knew exactly what that was a reference to. He has to know what Christmas is if he knows what a birthday is. There's a couple things about the Frosty the Snowman song that always perturbed me. The happy birthday is the main one. The second one, if you just want to visualize this world that this movie conjured up and the subsequent song.
I was listening to a Todd in the Shadows podcast where he talked about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the origins of both of those, and it was literally there was a mall that made a coloring book and they wanted to get something to sell toys, so they got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, someone made that up, and then it sold so well for the mall for their coloring books that next year they wrote a song, and then the next year after that they were like, wow, well that worked, so fuck it, let's do another one, and they did Frosty the Snowman. Yeah.
That's fucking wild, dude, and super efficient.
Isn't it so funny how blatantly commercial the so-called traditions of our holidays are,
and these fucking songs that are traditional classics that get sung every year and have for decades, almost a fucking century at this point, were basically the product of, reindeer, I guess? I don't know, maybe his, something's gotta be quirky about this one, it's gotta stand out. Red nose, sure, whatever, who gives a fuck?
It lights the way through the clouds. I don't know how that fucking works, but sure.
I don't know. They'll figure it out, the dumb kids. We're just trying to sell this goddamn coloring book to stay open for another year. Down to the village, with a broomstick in his hand, running here and there, all around the square, saying, "Catch me if you can." He led them to the streets of town, right to the traffic cop, and he only paused for a moment when he heard him holler, "Stop." A couple kids, presumably, if I'm going by the movie canon, and the snowman are running through the square. And they only stop when a traffic cop told them to. This traffic cop, has he led such an adventurous life that he encountered a living snowman? And his first thought was,
slow down.
Hey, slow down. Careful there. Where's the fire, snowman? Well, get it? It wasn't like, it didn't run in absolute terror.
Well, see, when you watch the special, like, the only gag going for it is that the adults will see the snowman and go like, hey, some typical reaction that's not, like, normal, and then double take, what? Like, that's basically it. And so with the cop, it's like, oh, stop there. And then he goes like, oh, haha, yeah, they're just going to have fun. Wait a minute. And then he, like, fumbles with his fucking whistle somehow, and it gets lodged in his throat, and
that's right.
And he just starts whistling out of his throat, but it's like this really weak whistle compared to, like, what the joke should be. You know, if you watch a normal, like, Bugs Bunny cartoon, it's always like, but it's just like, so
because he's dying.
The last thing that man sees before he dies is a fucking...
He's a snowman running away.
A sentient snowman. Dr. Dre, 2020. It's the Going Off Podcast with Rap Critic and Muse. Welcome to the future, man, machine, the future.
Okay, so I know we're doing like 2 different intros. This is like a choose your own adventure at this point. Which way you want to go? You want to hear us talk about Frosty the Snowman for 10 minutes, or you want to hear us talk about a shitty as fuck Eminem song for 10 minutes? When you sent me the We Made You music video, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna level with you. I didn't watch it because I've seen it before, and you only need one, dude.
Yeah.
I don't need that again. Where it's, hey man, it's Eminem, right? Okay, so what have we done in the past? What is the fucking formula that's worked? Well, you know, he dressed up like Tom Green and he put his naked ass on like his sink, and it was like, so I'm referencing popular MTV things, and I'm gonna mention like Britney Spears and Carson Daly. Okay, cool. It's like 10 years later. What do you got now? Rock of Love and Guitar Hero?
Yeah, maybe Paris Hilton parodying the Jessica Simpson, washing the car thing, right?
Oh, that's right, the Carl's Jr. ad.
Yeah.
Eating the burger.
You know what it really did look like? It looked like the VH1ification of Eminem, right? Where it's like...
Eminem is having the best week ever.
Yeah. Had a great time at MAGfest this past year. I'm gonna be trying to go to more cons and shit going into the new year. You know what I'm saying? Keep an eye out for your boy going around this great country. You know what I'm saying? One little event that happened when I went to MAGfest. So I'm chilling out like in the jam pod. I think I was about to play the song for like exclusive fans that came out. I was doing a little meetup thing, and so all of a sudden I hear someone chanting "Emotep, Emotep," and I turn around. I'm like, "Wait, you mean the And like I see someone with a big poster of like the mummy from that Brendan Fraser movie, and there's like a whole bunch of guys behind him going "Emotep, Emotep," and it is the best part. There was one guy with a box, and it all happened at the same time. Like I turned around, I noticed this, and then all of a sudden there was a guy handing me a CD, and he had like a big box of them, and he handed it to my friend too, and he handed me a CD of the Prince of Egypt soundtrack, and I was like, yo. And the thing is, I fucking love that soundtrack, so I was like, oh my god, MAGfest 2020.
So we want to start off 2020 with a bang. Patreon requests.
That's right.
If you think this is a cool idea and you want to request an album of your own, we do it a little bit differently now. We're operating on Ko-fi. So if there's an album that you would like to hear us talk about, head on over to ko-fi.com/goinoff. And we could be talking about an album that you like or hate on a future episode. So we're going to start out with Jukebox the Ghost with Let Live and Let Ghosts, requested by Jules Piggott. I definitely wanted to give a shout out real quick to Jules, who is always in our YouTube streams whenever we're on there playing video games. Always like to see Jules in there. This album was originally requested way back when, because I'll fully admit sometimes it takes us a while to get to these. I thought the album art was interesting, so I checked it out right then and there. From the initial listen, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, kind of interesting. I didn't end up liking the album as much as I thought I was going to. They fucking bring it musically. And then I don't usually feel the lyrics so much. It's just kind of like, yeah, okay, they're there too, but I'm more here for the instrumentation.
I will say the instrumentation on this album is quite fucking crisp. It's fucking awesome.
They're all over the place. They got so much stuff going on. I love it.
It's almost Freddie Mercury-in levels at one point.
I'll tell you what band it reminded me a little bit of. Fun.
I was thinking Freddie Mercury mixed with the Mountain Goats, actually.
I got Mountain Goat vibes.
Yeah.
Myself.
That was from the very specific Christian overtone vibes that came through. And I was... How do you want to discuss this? Do you mind if we just hop all over?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, because, so I'm listening to this album, and you know, like with the Mountain Goats thing, where it's just like, oh, hey, this is oddly, like, there's, you know, themes about God and stuff like that, but it doesn't feel like it's from that, you know, corny, you know, Christian rock perspective.
Right.
It feels like it's giving you the intricacies of that, right? So as I'm listening to this one, you know, it's like, all right, yeah, you know, it's about the end of the world, and you know, one or two songs where it's about, like, beady eyes on the horizon, which is about, at least I think it's about, like, aliens watching the end of the world, because it's like, oh, man, this is fucking cool. Like, look at all this shit happening. You know? A lot of these songs have, like, one goes right into the other, and it was kind of messing me up at one point.
Tracks.
Yeah, like, because I was like listening to it and, you know, just doing something else, and I was like, okay, when I'm done with that song, I'm gonna, you know, rate it and then get to the next one. And then I would just be, there would be like 3 tracks later, and I'd be like, oh shit, I forgot to see wait, where did it start? So yeah, that's what I like about it. So like, Fire in the Sky, Where Are All the Scientists Now, and A Matter of Time are all one after the other. But when I specifically saw the phrase, Where Are All the Scientists Now, I was kind of taken aback for a second, you know, where it's just like, wait, that's an interesting phrase. Like, where are the scientists now that the world is, you know, now that they know that God is real? You know what I mean? Like, it had that sort of like not just Christian overtones, but like specifically the, you know, those Christian movies that are always about the apocalypse, and now, see, our God was right, and now it's these godless people having to, you know, figure out how right God is. You know what I mean? Like, those type of movies.
Oh, I didn't get that vibe at all from this. That's interesting.
Because there was one specific lyric where he was saying, like, yeah, we're hanging tinsel in clear view, and you hear, like, you know, jingle bells in the background, and I was thinking, like, what? Wait a minute. Because it kind of sounded like that sort of, like, war on Christmas, but, you know, now that God's wrath has come, it's like, there's a God. So it was at that moment where I had the moment of, like, what is this band? And so I go to look it up. No, it's not a Christian rock band, but, you know, I saw this review that was talking about this album and, you know, how far they've fallen, apparently, in terms of, like, their, their creativity and stuff like that.
Oh, no.
And, yeah, so they were discussing this album and it's like, oh man, this fucking masterpiece, and they were talking about how, like, the album has these very cheery, you know, pro-Christian sounding lyrics, but yeah, the music is so dark and just like, it feels like something's wrong. Like, this doesn't feel like it's celebratory. And I was like, oh, okay, so this was a whole vibe. It wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like, oh, we're gonna try to make Christianity sound like, you know, weird, but seriously, no, it was like they were doing a storytelling aesthetic, you know what I mean?
A lot of the songs are very ominous sounding.
Yeah. But I think it's just because recently I've just been listening to like podcasts that have been talking about like Christian movie propaganda and like the weird shit that's in it. Like there's this podcast called Citations Needed, and they were talking about like Christian propaganda podcasts. Movies. Oddly, how before 2016, they were talking a lot about how Russia was like the enemy and stuff, and then after 2016, they kind of drop it.
Interesting.
It's like
coincidental, okay. I'm sure.
Yeah. You know, stuff like that. You know, so it was just kind of like, you know, it is one thing to be like, you know, religious or whatever, but it's like when you see like, oh, this is being used as a political pawn. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of made me on edge listening to this. I'll still say I still enjoyed what it was doing, regardless of that weird feeling I was getting.
Why did Where Are All the Scientists Now and A Matter of Time need to be 2 separate songs?
Didn't it, like, oddly cut into the next one? Because I remember, like, having to go back and be like, wait, when did this start exactly?
It reminded me of this. Sometimes I'll be editing a video and I'll get really tired and I'll fall asleep while I'm editing. Have you ever done this?
Yeah, I think so.
I can't be the only one that's done this. Where
Muse working hard.
you fall asleep and for like 10 or so minutes, you kind of do some sleep edits. It's like you're sleepwalking, but you're trying to edit, so you're not really conscious, but your mind is still kind of on autopilot. And sometimes you'll wake up the next morning and you'll have a Word document with fucking gibberish written in it. Or, because your mind is just fucking going. That's kind of what it felt like, where, okay, you got these two songs, you want to cut them, like, you got one really long song by the sound of it. You got to cut them in half. Okay. So then why, when you cut, does that first song sound like it goes for another 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And then another song starts. It's like, did they mean to cut right there? Because that was awkward.
I don't know.
Because, yeah, it's seamless. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's another track. And then it's like, still sounds like that last song, though. Like a lot. Like, it's the same thing.
Like, what was supposed to be the difference?
But then, yeah, like, it takes a small diversion and then goes into something else. It's like, oh, okay. That feels like it's where it was supposed to be.
But there was like earlier in the album where like there's a track that's really short where he's talking about like astronauts go up into space and they see the wrinkles in the face of God, and he's like, oh snap, what's been going on down here? Oh wow, this is pretty messed up. Well, I guess it's time to end the world because this is all fucked up. Like, I just love the sort of like matter of factness about how it's presented. You know what I'm saying?
I like their use of the intro songs too. They actually kind of stand on their own as songs. Like, I don't mind that they're just short little snippets because they're enjoyable on their own, even without the context.
Yeah, I could imagine hearing it by itself and enjoying it. You know, it's not like the beginning of what's that Childish Gambino song from Because the Internet. All she needed was some, but there's like a song right before it that's like a 1 minute intro.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the worst guy, you hear the that shit.
Yeah.
But going back into it, so I don't know. I there were actually quite a couple of lyrics that really caught my ear. In Beady Eyes on the Horizon, there's a lot of building in the music, and then you hear a sudden cutoff, and you hear he says like, "The sun is just a supernova turned the other way around," and that just like took me aback, where I was just like, wait. How would that work? Wait,
yeah.
Like, is it? I mean, I don't know. I guess I never thought. You know, like
a science lesson.
And then there was another lyric later where he says, like, it's not a man who smokes a cigarette, it's the other way around. Like, there was that lyric too where it was just like, oh, the social commentary. But for every lyric that would be as great as that, there would be like, actually, no. I mostly enjoy it, but I feel like there were one or two songs where it's just like, I just couldn't figure out what it was about. So, like, Under My Skin is the worst offender. I would say, like, okay, so there's a lyric where he says, like, and my family had a castle way back when. I would have lived there if they had more male children to fill my heart with music. And I'm like, what? Wait, hold on, back up.
There's a few songs on here that they have kind of motifs. And Hold It In.
I really like that one, actually.
That's one I didn't care for so much. I didn't care for the Hold It In motif. That didn't work for me so well.
I like the way it would change randomly to something different. Like, especially where he's like, I really like this girl, but I can't say it, and I gotta hold it in. I like that.
I thought it was kind of corny.
I thought it felt like a classic, sort of like as I was listening to it, it was one of those things where I was like, I have to have heard this song before. Like, it was just so, like, definitively that type of song about this type of thing, you know? I don't know. It worked for me. But okay, but I think there was one melody, and this is just me speculating why I think I might have heard it before. The melody sounds dangerously similar to, do you know the song, I went to a party on a Saturday night, I didn't fall in love and I fell in a fight.
It ain't no big thing.
Did it sound a little bit like that?
Fucking kiss me once!
Yeah.
Kiss me twice!
Because it was like something hold it in, you know, like that. Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that, but that is an interesting take. There weren't any songs on here I disliked. A lot of them just kind of run the middle of the road for me. But then by the second half, I thought it was pretty consistent in quality of like Static into Victoria into My Heart's the Same. I thought all those were really solid cuts.
Oh yeah, I really liked Victoria.
Yeah.
Where he says like, "You're certainly my poison of choice, and when I drink you down, my heart makes it sound like this," and you hear the music in the background responding to him saying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was fucking cool as shit.
I like Static maybe the most until the end. I thought the instrumental was like super atmospheric and fun and catchy on that one, and the intro before it, the Miss Templeton's 7,000th Dream.
Oh,
I thought that was really cool.
Wasn't that the one where like it starts off without the drum and then the drum comes in like right at the start of the next song? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like a song will start with just piano or just acoustic guitar, and then it'll be like a full fucking thing by the end of it. I really like it, just keeps adding layers and layers. I would say A Matter of Time, though, might be my favorite cut on the album overall. I thought it ended real strong. I got a 3.25. I'm going to round that down to a 3. I gotta say I'm disappointed because I went ahead and I downloaded their 2019 album out of curiosity, and now you're saying that people are saying they went down in quality. It's like, that sucks.
See, I would actually give it a 4.5. I was actually really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Dang.
And so I was actually like fucking crestfallen when I was reading that review. I was like, oh man.
I hate when that fucking happens, dude.
Yeah. It's a damn shame, man.
But going into the second album, a very dramatic change of scenery.
Let's get right into it. Thank you, Andrew Outwater, for your request. Akala's Banquet of Thieves. And all right, let me throw it over to you. So how did this hit you, bro?
You want to take a guess?
No, I gotta know. In your own words, you gotta lay it out for me.
I mean, I didn't love it.
Oh no, once again. Doom, once again. Man, Okay, I'm gonna start this off. I'm gonna start this off real quick.
Okay.
Listening to the song, it was another one of those Immortal Technique things where it's like, this guy is an incredible artist spitting an incredible message. Like, I remember someone said, like, you know, music can inspire you to just, like, think about things you wouldn't be thinking about. And, you know, there are one or two songs on here where it's just like, oh, man, I just wasn't thinking about, you know, like, the idea of, you know, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like, you have to hear the lyrics yourself, because I feel like I'm just gonna, in trying to summarize it, it's just gonna sound like self-help mumbo-jumbo.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Because I'm basically just gonna end up saying, like, you know, you should really care about your life and, you know, work towards your goals. But it's like, it's not said cornerly like that. And like, he's actually gets into the intricacy of it. You know, like the very first song is talking about how, like, you know, there's all this shitty stuff happening in our lives and we are all, you know, a part of this cycle that happens. So he's saying, like, what if we all just today just like dropped it? What if we all, you know, were not a part of their system and lived lives our way? You know, like, I like an artist coming in and just kicking down the door and saying something big and fucking ambitious like that. Because it's like, I think we need to hear that every fucking day. You know what I mean? So I love seeing an artist put that in their music, you know?
I thought you were going to say it was like an Immortal Technique thing where this guy sounds kind of cool. These beats, though.
Oh, see, I wasn't saying the beats. I was actually saying some of the hooks. Like, there's one where he's kind of offbeat. I think it was like Lose Myself or something like that.
Lose Myself is... Let me check. Just to double check. Oh, it's tied for lowest rated. But man, first two tracks, 1-2 punch of just like, and I know this is unfortunately my go-to comparison, or it just sounds like some weak garage band edited rock instrumental.
Oh, no.
It's just like, ew.
As soon as I think about it again.
It doesn't sound good, and it's like flat production. Like, it's not even like dynamic or anything, but it's like, all right, that's fine. I listen to Immortal Technique, and some of his songs have pretty weak beats.
Yeah, that's the comparison I was thinking about. Yeah.
And then you listen to it, and it's like, all right, this isn't very good either, though. Some lyrics land, other ones are kind of awkward. He's trying to do this cadence where it's a little sloppy trying to cram too much into a rhyme, and then the fucking weak ass chorus that I skipped over, and then Lose Myself is like the same thing where it's another trash instrumental, a garbage chorus, and it just goes and goes and goes. And I almost bailed. I almost didn't listen to all of Lose Myself, where I was just like, man, this is garbage.
I was actually riding with this album for the most part until I got to Another Reason, a song that I like for the most part, but there's like one or two over trying to sound smart lyrics.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, have you heard the pig now knows it's fat and the zebra is confused because it's white and it's black? And I'm like, I don't think that's true.
I don't think these animals are that yeah, they're not that conscious of their surroundings, my dude. I think they got bigger things to worry about, like survival.
And so it flattened the like seriousness of what was kind of building up at some points, and I feel like that happens throughout some of these tracks. Like, even as someone who enjoyed this album, like, I did have that point where it would just be like, but I don't know if I'd show this to somebody, because, like, that part right there, you know what I mean?
I liked the more laid-back, jazzy instrumental on that one, and I thought his delivery was better on that cut than the first two, but I still wasn't really grabbed by the lyrics too much, but the vibe I got was a sort of PBS educational cartoon. if that makes sense to anyone. A little corny in the trying to give you that message.
I mean, they're still teaching you something, so it's still important.
Yeah.
But okay, so we get to Old Soul, and I'm sure this is I hear the chuckle. Like, it's one of those things, like, if you're with him to this point, you might enjoy this, but if you're not, so I'm gonna give him some points where he goes like, you're listening to the song, it's songs about Old Soul, and it's him, shouting out all the music that great legendary black artists have created, and that's really cool, right? It's all it's all from Africa, and it's all the beautiful heart of it. And then he gets one or two lyrics where it's like, you ever feel, it's like, you ever get that feeling that you've been here before? Do you ever find yourself talking about the kids these days and have to remind yourself about your
Pull back on the reins a little bit, Akala. Oh no!
A little bit of cheese seeping into there.
The hook is what fucking got me though. I remember. Do you remember? I remember. Because I'm an old soul. Like, oh.
And the thing is, he has a lyric where he's like, yeah, I remember these things, even though, like, I literally wasn't old enough to.
I wasn't born yet.
Like, what are you trying to say?
Like, I felt like, I don't know. There's a fine line between a tribute and just like name dropping to name drop,
like Jurassic 5 or
yeah.
It's like, oh, we're doing the old school, and because it's old school, that's why you're supposed to like us, and,
He fucking says old soul like 100 fucking times in the song. It's like, dude, I fucking got it, man. And it's not translating on this album. Like, all these influences you're rattling off, like, I'm not feeling any of that shit.
So, I want to ask you about Thieves Banquet. The song that I feel encapsulates what this album kind of is. It's like,
man.
You have this super big, weighty, topic about like the world is being taken over by the worst people that are having a banquet with the devil to discuss how they're going to slice up the world. It's the epic over the top sort of stuff, but man, the sort of Tech 9 over the top, overblown chorus. You know what I mean? That kind of turns it. It's the banquet of the thieves.
I laughed out loud at that. It was so fucking corny.
It's the banquet of the thieves.
I know writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards.
There's such evil in the world. It's like they're all just like in a banquet with the devil trying to impress him. Like, oh my god, dude. And
okay.
I might have let this song live, but your boy tried voices.
Wait! Oh no! The best part! The fucking clergyman! Oh my god! I couldn't take it.
When the first voice of like the banker or whatever, he was like,
yeah, I was okay with that.
And I was like,
I was okay with that. I thought that was cool. I was like, all right, if we're doing faces, because it's like, you know, because he's supposed to sound like this European chap, but he's like rapping, you know, like,
but he doesn't have to do that. I get it. It's a different person.
Well, you gotta distinguish between different people. I'm fine with that. I'm with him on that.
No.
It's when he gets to the third verse, and you know, up to this point, we get it. Each of the different people are going to come up and rap. We know who all four of them are.
Yep.
You know, the banker, the clergyman, the politicians, and the third world dictator. You know?
Yeah.
But it gets to the third verse, and we already know who it's gonna be. It's already the clergyman, and he decides to waste like 4 to 8 bars before the verse starts, and after the chorus is going, yes, it's just, I'm a pervert who's in the cloak of the clergy. And yes, I'm a pervert who uses the cloak. And I'm a despicable character. Like, it sounded like fucking Monty Burns. Yes, I do. Like, he's like jerking off while he's fucking saying it.
I'm
like,
from somewhere very far away. Yes, that sounds good. That'll do.
I'm quite despicable character. Like, he repeats it like 3 times. It's like, we get it.
This is the title track. Like, this is what you're basing the album on, really. And then you go back to it again later in the bonus track where
okay.
I didn't even fuck with that. I was already done by
I am a big fan of Tech 9, so I can
yeah.
I can handle the over the topness, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't put this in the same league as a Tech 9 though.
No, not the whole time. I'm mainly talking about the Banquet and the Thieves, that part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know. But yeah, he's not on the same. I think Tech 9 pulls off the theatrics definitely more consistently than he does on this album.
Yeah.
But I don't want to, you know, completely shit on it because I feel like there are really dope like lyrics on here and really dope like concepts and songs that you know, are like sort of like good enough where it's like, no, I think people should listen to this. You know what I'm saying? But I can understand where, that's how I feel. I would be like, I'd say you should listen to this, but I don't want to be in the room because I don't want you to judge me for the stupider and sillier things that are on it.
Yeah, it definitely does have its silly moments.
Yeah.
I have a feeling my rating is going to be a good bit lower than yours. I came out with a 2.5.
Dang. I came out with a 4. You were bringing up and being like super over the top. I wrote this one lyric at the end, and yeah, I remember saying this. It's like I can appreciate the storytelling elements of this song and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, there gets an element where it seems like it's too over the top and cheesy. Like where the monarch of empire says, "If we get sinus and blood, it would be totally perfect." and you know, he responds, and that's what they did. They used a child's bleeding finger to write there. Like, all right.
Again, symbolism, who needs it?
Oh, in the banker, there's one part where he just goes, yes, oh fucking yes, let us drink to murder and theft. Just the way he goes, yes, oh fucking yes. Like, how many people are jerking off in this fucking thing?
If dude had a fun time making it, good for him. I was not rocking with it. I wasn't here for it. But that about does it for us. And this week on the Going Off podcast. Big thanks for fucking with us all through 2019 and following us into the new year, into the new fucking decade. A new decade of Going Off. I want to say this is year 5 for us. Still going strong.
I think, yeah.
If there is an album you would like to hear us talk about, head on over to Ko-fi.com/goinoff. That is ko-fi.com/goinoff. One-time $50 pledge to hear us talk about an album you request for the show. I think the show's only getting better. And I want to thank everyone who's stuck with us through the harder times as we, I don't know, figured out a format that works, figured out audio quality. Those first few sound pretty rough. But thank you very much. I can't say it enough. We love you all very much. And until next week for the Going Off podcast, I'm Muse.
And I'm Rap Critic, and Emotep, Emotep, Emotep.